Hello and welcome back to the Multiverse of Maha. I am Ihmisen, your guide for this archive. In today's lesson, we will briefly cover the central supercluster as well as the main galaxy of the setting before zooming in to talk about the home solar system in more depth. I ask that you forgive the brevity of these sections. I thought, how about I wanted to do this archive extensively and polled several people from various different Discord communities before finally deciding that I wish to submit the big picture for the world first. Setting up the big things you must know about the setting as we zoom in from the macro scale to the micro scale, and I'll return to these subjects more in detail later as we follow the path of the Silentiun across the Multiverse of Maha. I have been building from a bottom-up perspective, or more accurately, outward from a central species, for the majority of this world-building project, and I'm going to follow the same trend for this archive, after I make clear the world in which this takes place. This is why I covered the broadest topic, the Multiverse of Maha itself, in the last video, and why the next video after this will not be of the homeworld Ma'ilma, but rather the magic system, and Ma'ilma will be the video after that. With that out of the way, let's move on to the first proper segment of this entry into the archive, the supercluster Multiverse na Ore. Multiverse na Ore, or the Supercluster of Chaos, is a collection of galaxies which all orbit the largest and most important galaxy of the story, Realtra Naantus. 2 galaxies orbit Realtra Naantus, 3 more orbit those 2, and 6 more orbit those 3, for a total of 12 galaxies in the Supercluster. As I have yet to get to building any of these other galaxies in the supercluster, that is all the information I have on this subject as of yet. However, if anyone watching my archive wishes to join me in this world-building project, then hosting your own creation in one of these galaxies is a great place to start. Focusing inward to the core of the rest of the supercluster orbit, we come to Realtra Naantus, or the Galaxy of Origin. Named so not because this is the galaxy in which the Silentiun of Nalduin first came into being, but rather because the galaxy's central supermassive black hole is the source of the majority of origin energy within the supercluster as detectable by the advanced civilizations thus far created in the setting. Realtra Naantus is roughly 6 times as large as our own Milky Way galaxy, and roughly 126 times as massive. I've already done a bit of work on the galactic neighborhood as Nalduin influence has expanded outward from their solar system, but I will return to that in a much later video, and for now we will focus inward on the primary solar system of the setting. Ihmisen Keh'to, or the solar system of warring lovers. Ihmisen Keh'to is a quaternary system. More specifically, it is a double binary system consisting of one close P-type Tatooine-like system, where 2 stars closely orbit each other, and the planets orbit both stars in a single subsystem, and one S-type anti-Tatooine system, where each star has their own individual subsystem. I won't go into too much detail here in the overview of the solar system, since I'll be returning to them at a later date to cover the notable details in their own videos as I expand outward from Ma'ilma. Hopefully I can get Universe Sandbox 2 to work with me by then, because just creating the solar system I have so far took me more than 5 days, and it still isn't accurate since trying to change the measurements of the P-type stars instead keep launching them off into space, resulting in the distances and all derivative measurements being inaccurate in US2. For now, you should know 2 main things about Ihmisen Keh'to, though both of these will be broken down into more details. First, Ihmisen Keh'to has 16 planets in total, 4 of which are habitable, and a total of 8 habitable moons divided into its 3 different subsystems. 2. Even before the Silentiun of Nalduin became the dominant force in Ihmisen Keh'to, the solar system was already nearly a K2 civilization on the Kardashev scale, colonized by several spacefaring mortals, cultivators, ascendants, and even a few celestials. with every Lagrange point in the system hosting some form of satellite or space station used in both their specialized roles and as part of a celestial superhighway. I've tried to follow Artifexian as closely as possible for this section of world building, but there are at least 3 items which stand out as not adhering to his tutorials. The first and probably most obvious of these is the sheer number and type of planets and other celestial bodies within the solar system. There are a total of 16 planets covering a large range of different types, including both terrestrial worlds and several of their subtypes, as well as gas and ice giants and all of their subtypes. There is even both a donut-shaped Taurus world and a disk world. And this isn't even considering other celestial bodies like moons, asteroid belts, and dwarf planets, much less man-made creations like space stations and megastructures, which also exist in abundance within Renisev Grossi-Valge. The next item that does not follow Artifexian's tutorials are the statistics for the main planet of the setting, Ma'ilma, which has a larger radius than should be possible due to its semi-hollow nature. I will cover this more in detail in the video after next, but because of Ma'ilma's extensive layers of subterranean tunnels and caverns, the radius and surface area of the planet has been increased when compared to what a naturally habitable planet should have, with a total radius of 1.73 Earth radii instead of the normal maximum of 1.5. This makes its surface area roughly 3 times larger than the surface area of Earth. Finally, the last item which ignores his tutorials is the existence of a habitable ice giant and its moons, which are purely the works of fantasy or science fiction. In Subsystem C of Renisev Grossi-Valge, one of the S-type binary pairs, I have placed an ice giant within the habitable zone, and made the planet and 4 of its moons habitable. This should be impossible, or at least I've not been able to find a way to legitimately make a gas or ice giant actually habitable with a breathable atmosphere, using known science and the laws of physics, so I've just ignored them, and made it anyway using the lore of my setting. I.e., that any celestial or greater can outright create or destroy an entire demiplane, much less a planet. That completes this entry into the archive of the Multiverse of Maha. In the next video entry, I will cover the magic system of the setting before moving on to the planet Ma'ilma, the planet on which everything started. This has been Mates Nalduin. Goodbye for now, and as always, links to the relevant articles on World Anvil for this video will be in the description, as well as useful links such as the link to the Discord server for this setting, as well as my Patreon page, should my content ever be worthy of such support.